Maya's hand trembled as she set down the coffee cup. Around the crowded charity gala, whispers floated like smoke, and she heard every single word. Gold digger. Social climber. Cheap knockoff bag. She straightened her spine, forced a smile, and walked toward the exit with her head high. But inside, something shattered. Not because they were right. Because the one person she thought would defend her said absolutely nothing. 3 months earlier, Maya Daniels had been wiping down tables at Riverside Café when Ethan Reed first walked through the door. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with kind eyes that crinkled when he smiled. He ordered a black coffee and a blueberry muffin, sitting by the window where sunlight pooled on the worn wooden table. Maya noticed him because he didn't look at his phone. He just sat there, watching people pass by, lost in thought. "Rough morning?" she asked, refilling his cup without being asked. He looked up, startled, then smiled. "Is it that obvious?" "Only to someone who's had a few herself," Maya replied, her voice soft but warm. From that day on, Ethan became a regular. Every morning at 7:15, black coffee, blueberry muffin, window seat. They developed a rhythm, an easy friendship built on small conversations about weather, work frustrations, and terrible television shows. Maya learned he was a construction supervisor, managing projects across the city. Ethan learned she loved old movies and had a quiet laugh that made him want to hear it again. Her co-workers noticed. "He's into you," said Jenna, the shift manager, nudging Maya's shoulder. "You should ask him out." Maya shook her head. "It's not like that." "Why not?" "He's cute, stable job, comes here every day just to see you." "Because," Maya said quietly, "people always want something. And when they find out who I really am, everything changes." Jenna frowned but didn't push. Maya had always been private, deflecting personal questions with practiced ease. Nobody knew where she lived, what she did after work, or why she sometimes stepped outside to take urgent phone calls in hushed tones. One Tuesday morning, Ethan arrived with 3 friends. They were loud, confident, the kind of men who filled a room with their presence. Maya brought over their orders, smiling politely. "So this is the girl," one of them said, looking Maya up and down. "Ethan talks about you constantly." "Does he?" Maya glanced at Ethan, who looked embarrassed. "Oh yeah. Maya this, Maya that." The friend leaned back in his chair. "You working here long term, or just until you find a guy with a real salary?" The table went quiet. Ethan's face flushed. "Marcus, come on, man." Marcus laughed. "What?" "I'm just saying, pretty girl working a cafe job. She's looking for an upgrade." Maya's smile never wavered. "I appreciate the concern, but I'm quite satisfied with my life. Enjoy your breakfast, gentlemen." She walked away, feeling their stares burning into her back. Behind her, she heard Marcus whisper, "Broke girls always play hard to get. They think it makes them look classier." Ethan said nothing. He should have defended her. He should have told Marcus to shut up, to apologize, to show some basic human decency. But he didn't. He just stared into his coffee like it held all the answers to questions he was too afraid to ask. That evening, Maya sat in her penthouse apartment, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the glittering city. Her phone buzzed. Board meeting postponed until Friday. Merger details need revision. She sighed, setting the device down. This double life exhausted her. By day, she served coffee and endured judgment. By night, she ran Daniels Global Enterprises, a $3.2 billion empire her father built and she transformed into something even greater. She'd started working at the cafe 6 months ago, craving normalcy. Craving real human connection untainted by wealth. She wanted to know if anyone would see her, truly see her, without the designer clothes and corporate power. So far, the experiment had been disappointing. But Ethan had felt different. Until today. 2 weeks later, Ethan appeared at the cafe looking nervous. "Maya, can I talk to you?" "Of course." She wiped her hands on her apron. "There's this charity gala this Saturday. It's a big deal, raising money for children's hospitals. I was wondering if you'd like to come with me. As my date." Maya's heart skipped. "A gala? I know it's fancy, but you don't have to worry about fitting in. You'd make any room better just by being there." She wanted to say no. Galas were dangerous territory. But the hopeful look in his eyes made her reckless. "Okay. I'd like that." Saturday arrived cold and clear. Maya chose a simple midnight blue dress, elegant but understated. No jewelry except small pearl earrings. She carried a vintage clutch her grandmother had given her, worn leather but priceless in sentimental value. When Ethan picked her up outside the cafe, his eyes widened. "You look beautiful." "Thank you." She smiled, pushing down the anxiety churning in her stomach. The gala was held at the Grandview Hotel, chandeliers dripping crystal light over hundreds of wealthy attendees. Maya recognized many faces, people who'd sat across boardroom tables from her, who'd pitched investments and sought her approval. None of them recognized her now. The power of context, she thought. Put a billionaire in a simple dress at a cafe worker's side, and she becomes invisible. Ethan introduced her to his friends. Marcus was there, along with several others from the construction company. And then there was Victoria, Ethan's ex-girlfriend, draped in designer labels and dripping condescension. "So you're the barista," Victoria said, her smile sharp as broken glass. "How quaint." "I prefer Maya," she replied evenly. "Of course. I just think it's so brave of you to come to an event like this. Must be intimidating, being around so much wealth." Maya met her gaze without flinching. "Wealth doesn't intimidate me." "Clearly." Victoria's eyes dropped to Maya's clutch. "Is that vintage? Or just old?" Laughter rippled through the group. Maya felt Ethan stiffen beside her, but he said nothing. Again. The silence cut deeper than any insult. Marcus leaned in, voice loud enough for others to hear. "Ethan, buddy, I gotta hand it to you. You found yourself a classic gold digger. Probably planning the wedding already." More laughter. Maya's chest tightened. Around them, other guests had started to notice, whispering behind manicured hands. She could feel the judgment pressing down like physical weight. "That's enough," Ethan finally said, but his voice was weak, uncertain. "Oh, come on, we're just joking," Victoria said. Can't she take a joke? Or are broke girls too sensitive? Maya stood slowly, her movements deliberate and graceful. "Excuse me. I need some air." If you're enjoying this story of hidden identity and ultimate revelation, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. You won't want to miss what happens next. And drop a comment telling me if you saw this twist coming. She walked through the ballroom, past the orchestra, past the silent auction tables displaying luxury vacations and artwork. She walked until she found a quiet hallway, leaning against the wall and closing her eyes. She wasn't angry. She was disappointed. Disappointed that Ethan, who she'd begun to trust, couldn't stand up for her. Disappointed that people reduced her worth to her bank account, whether they thought it full or empty. Her phone buzzed. A text from her secretary. "Ms. Daniels, the event coordinator needs confirmation on the anonymous donation transfer. 10 million as usual." Maya typed back quickly. "Confirmed. Keep my identity confidential." She should leave. This was a mistake. But something made her return to the ballroom one last time. She spotted Ethan talking with Marcus, looking uncomfortable. Victoria had her claws in another victim. Maya walked up to Ethan. "I'm going to head out," she said quietly. "Maya, wait. I'm sorry about them. They don't mean anything by it. Don't they?" She looked at him, really looked at him. "You're a good man, Ethan. But you're afraid. Afraid of what your friends think, afraid of standing out, afraid of defending someone who doesn't fit their expectations. That's not fair. Isn't it?" She touched his arm gently. "I wanted you to see me. Just me. Not what I could give you, not what I represented. Just who I am. But you can't see past what everyone else tells you to see." She left him standing there, confusion and regret warring on his face. Maya didn't go to the cafe that Monday. Or Tuesday. Or any day that week. She had the locks changed, new management installed, a complete renovation planned. It was time to stop hiding. Ethan showed up Monday morning to find the cafe dark, a sign reading, "Closed for renovations." Panic fluttered in his chest. He called Maya's number, but it went straight to voicemail. By Wednesday, he was asking everyone if they'd seen her, but nobody knew anything. Jenna shrugged. Maya kept to herself. "We don't even have an emergency contact for her." Thursday evening, Marcus called Ethan, his voice strange and tight. "Turn on the news. Channel 7. Now." Ethan grabbed his remote, flipping through channels until he found it. A business reporter stood outside a gleaming corporate tower, speaking into the camera with barely contained excitement. In a stunning announcement today, Maya Daniels has been officially appointed CEO of Daniels Global Enterprises, one of the world's largest investment and development firms. At just 28, Daniels becomes one of the youngest billionaires leading a Fortune 500 company. Industry insiders say she's been quietly running operations for the past 2 years following her father's retirement, orchestrating the company's most successful mergers and international expansions. The camera cut to footage of Maya stepping out of a black Mercedes, wearing a tailored gray suit, her hair pulled back, confidence radiating from every movement. She looked powerful, untouchable, and completely different from the quiet cafe worker Ethan thought he knew. The reporter continued. Daniels is known for her philanthropic work, having donated over $200 million to various causes, often anonymously. Sources confirm she was the mysterious benefactor behind last week's Children's Hospital Gala, contributing $10 million. Ethan's phone slipped from his hand. The gala. The same gala where his friends had mocked her, called her a gold digger, laughed at her cheap accessories. The same gala she had funded. He felt sick. His phone exploded with messages. "Marcus, holy shit, man. We messed up. Victoria, did you know? His mother, is this the girl you've been talking about?" He couldn't breathe. He'd let them humiliate a woman worth billions who chose to work in a cafe, who chose simplicity over spectacle, who chose to test the world's character and found it lacking. Who chose to test his character, and he'd failed spectacularly. Friday morning, Ethan stood in the lobby of Daniels Global Enterprises, feeling completely out of place among marble floors and abstract art installations. Security had been skeptical until he mentioned Maya's name, and even then, they'd made calls before allowing him to wait. An hour passed. Then another. He was about to give up when the elevator doors opened and Maya stepped out, flanked by 2 assistants carrying tablets and speaking rapidly about quarterly projections. She wore black, her expression focused and distant. Then she saw him. The assistants fell silent. Maya's face revealed nothing. "Mr. Reed," she said formally. "This is unexpected. I needed to see you. To apologize." She glanced at her assistants. "Give us a moment." They disappeared into an adjacent conference room. Maya folded her arms, waiting. "I'm sorry," Ethan said, words tumbling out desperately. "I should have defended you. I should have told them to shut up, to show you respect. I should have trusted who you were, not what they assumed about you." "Should have," Maya repeated softly. "But you didn't. I was weak. I was stupid. I let them make you feel small when you're the biggest person in any room. I never needed you to fight my battles, Ethan. I've fought bigger battles than you can imagine. I just wanted you to stand beside me. To believe in me regardless of what your friends thought. I do believe in you. Now you do. Now that you know I'm worth $3 billion. But what about when you thought I was just a cafe worker? Did you believe in me then? Hit that like button if Maya's strength is inspiring you right now. And stay tuned because this story isn't over yet. Ethan had no answer. The truth hung between them, heavy and undeniable. Maya's expression softened slightly. I worked at that cafe because I wanted to know if anyone could see me without the money, without the power. I wanted authentic connection. What I found was that most people only see what they want to see, what serves their narrative. You found that in me too. Yes, she admitted. I did. Can I make it right? She considered him for a long moment. I don't know. Trust isn't rebuilt in a conversation. It's rebuilt in actions, consistency, time. I have time. However much you need. Maya smiled sadly. I have a meeting. But Ethan? Work on standing up for what's right, even when it's uncomfortable. Even when your friends disagree. Even when it costs you something. That's the kind of man worth knowing. She walked away, heels clicking against marble, leaving him standing alone in the vast lobby. 3 months passed. Ethan threw himself into work, but Maya haunted his thoughts. He stood up to Marcus when he made another derogatory comment about women. He ended things with Victoria permanently. He started volunteering at the children's hospital, the one Maya's donation had supported. Small actions, maybe, but they felt like penance. The cafe reopened in November, transformed. New equipment, fresh paint, expanded menu, but keeping the same cozy atmosphere. Ethan had been promoted to manager, handpicked by the new owners who turned out to be a subsidiary of Daniel's Global Enterprises. He didn't know if Maya had anything to do with it, but he suspected. One cold Tuesday morning, the door chimed. Ethan looked up from the espresso machine and froze. Maya stood in the doorway, wearing jeans and a cream sweater, looking more like the woman he'd first met than the CEO he'd seen on television. She smiled tentatively. Is the window seat available? His heart hammered. Always. He made her coffee himself, black with 1 sugar, the way she used to drink it. He brought it over, sitting down across from her without asking permission. You look good, he said. So do you. I heard you're managing this place now. Yeah. Funny how that worked out. Isn't it? Her eyes held amusement. Maya, I wasn't angry, she interrupted gently. I was hurt. There's a difference. Anger fades. Hurt lingers. But I've learned that people make mistakes. What matters is whether they learn from them. I've learned. I'm still learning. I know. I've been watching. Watching? She smiled. The hospital volunteering. Standing up to Marcus. I have friends everywhere, Ethan. They tell me things. He laughed, shaking his head. Should I be flattered or terrified? Both, probably. They sat in comfortable silence, sipping coffee as morning light streamed through the windows. Outside, the city moved at its frantic pace, but inside, time felt suspended. I wanted to see who'd stay beside me when I had nothing, Maya finally said. When I was just Maya, the cafe worker. But that was unfair. I wasn't testing you fairly. I was hiding, and you can't judge someone for failing a test they didn't know they were taking. You had every right to protect yourself. Maybe. But I also had a responsibility to be honest. We both made mistakes. So where does that leave us? Maya looked at him, really looked at him, the way she had that first morning when she'd asked if he'd had a rough day. I think it leaves us here. Starting over. No secrets, no tests, no assumptions. Just 2 people having coffee. I'd like that. Good. Because I actually missed this place. Missed the simplicity of it. Sometimes when you have everything, you forget what truly matters. And what's that? Connection. Real, honest connection with people who see you, not what you own or what you can give them. Ethan reached across the table, covering her hand with his. I see you, Maya. Finally, really see you. And I'm sorry it took me so long. She turned her hand over, interlacing their fingers. Well, they say timing is everything. Before we wrap up, make sure you're subscribed so you never miss these powerful stories about hidden identities and second chances. Drop a comment telling me what you would have done in Maya's situation. They talked for hours that morning, until the cafe filled with lunch customers and Ethan had to get back to work. Maya stayed, laptop open, working remotely from her old favorite corner. People walked past, never knowing the woman in the cream sweater controlled billions, funded their hospitals, invested in their futures. And that was exactly how she wanted it. As evening fell and the cafe prepared to close, Maya packed up her things. Ethan walked her to the door. Can I see you again? He asked. Outside of coffee? I'd like that. But Ethan, I need you to understand something. My life is complicated. There are demands, responsibilities, public scrutiny. Dating me won't be simple. I don't want simple. I want real. She smiled, the kind of smile that reached her eyes and made them shine. Then call me. Not the CEO. Not the billionaire. Just Maya. Just Maya, he repeated, committing it to memory. She walked out into the night, and Ethan watched through the window as her driver opened the car door. She paused, looking back at the cafe, at him. Then she waved, a small gesture that felt enormous in its significance. The car pulled away, disappearing into traffic. Ethan cleaned tables, turned off lights, locked up for the night. As he walked home, he thought about judgment, about the assumptions people make, about the danger of seeing only surfaces. Maya Daniels had taught him something profound. That worth isn't measured in bank accounts or job titles. That dignity means standing tall regardless of others' opinions. That strength sometimes looks like silence, like walking away, like giving people space to grow. People had judged her for being a gold digger, for wanting more than she deserved, for reaching above her station. They'd been blind to the truth. She didn't need to dig for gold. She was the gold, precious and rare, hidden in plain sight, waiting for someone genuine enough to recognize her value without the shine. And maybe, just maybe, he was becoming that person. The city lights sparkled like stars brought down to earth. Somewhere in a penthouse high above, Maya looked out at those same lights, thinking about second chances and the courage it takes to trust again. Thinking about a construction supervisor who made mistakes but owned them, who was learning to be braver. Life, she reflected, was full of surprises. Sometimes the most valuable lessons came wrapped in disappointment. Sometimes the greatest treasures hid in the most ordinary places. And sometimes, love required nothing more than seeing someone truly, completely, for exactly who they were. Just Maya. Just Ethan. Just two people learning what it meant to look beyond surfaces, to value character over status, to build something real in a world obsessed with appearances. And that, she thought, was worth more than all the billions in the world.